Another catastrophe in the world.
Yeah. It's not good news when you're hearing other things going on in countries.
Searches race to recover bodies in Libya as death toll from a flooding hits over 5,000 people.
That's a lot of.
My mom just said it's 6,000.
That's a lot
of people. Flood.
We have earthquake in one place.
And a flood.
And a fire in Maui.
A fire in Maui. What, Mom? She said they still counting. Search teams comb the streets, wreckage buildings, and even the sea Wednesday to look for bodies in a coastal Libyan city where the collapse of two dams, a collapse, unleashed a massive flash flood that killed over, well, my mom is saying 6,000 people. The Mediterranean city of Derna has struggled to get help after Sunday night's deluge washed away most access roads. Aid workers who managed to reach the city described devastation in its center, with thousands still missing and tens of thousands left homeless. Bodies are everywhere, inside homes, in the streets, even at sea. Wherever you go, you find dead men, women, and children. One of the aid workers said. And over the phone, he said entire families are gone. The Mediterranean storm Daniel caused deadly flooding Sunday in many towns on eastern Libya, but the worst hit Derna. Two dams in the mountains above the city collapsed.
Above the city.
Sending flood waters roaring down the river through the city center, sweeping away entire city blocks. See how water has weight to it?
I thought about the flood with the ark. 40 days of rain.
Oh, rain.
And he had Noah build that ark.
Can you imagine even when he built the ark and it started raining, in the beginning, people probably were still laughing at him and stuff. Mm-hmm. He probably was still building even in the rain. And they was laughing. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? And then as it started getting a little deeper, they probably was like, okay, we got our own boats. We don't need that stupid boat. We got a boat. But then some kind of water comes in like this thing comes in. Mm-hmm. There's no little boat. There's no building. There's nowhere you can go. It literally is on top of every building. So if you go to the top of the building, you're still swept away.
This is probably like an example, and probably not as extreme, but the example of a flood that flooded the world in that area.
When the enemy comes in.
I told her, I said the original text, because, we got King James Version, NIV versions. And one of the things we learned at our old church, you have to really study the word, because the word can be changed. A comma can change just a little bit of that word. This scripture, one of the guys taught us, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. And he said, you know what? We were always taught the scripture in King James Version, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard. We know God's going to move anyway. However, God's movement in this, all we can do is pray.
But it makes you, when you see stories like this, it makes you see the power of water. Water, it can destroy a building if it comes in a certain way. Mm-hmm. There's no escaping it. It's
very
like
heavy.
It's heavy. It's hard. It moves quick. Mm-hmm. It moves quick. Mm-hmm. Look at us, girl. We didn't start preaching, which means he'll move quick.
Yeah.
Like a flood. He moves quick. Like a flood.
You don't take his time.
He don't take his time. People, just stand by. My mother said, stand back and stand by. Like
that's a word today.
A lot of stuff that we ask God for, he's already done it.
Mm-hmm. We're just waiting for it to manifest in the natural.
He'll tell you, I've already done it.
Oh, Lord, thank you. Okay, I'm waiting for it to manifest.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
But I'm praying that missionaries, groups,
Everybody
other
gets
countries,
there.
well, they still trying to clean up Morocco.
Crazy.
They're still helping out
Earthquake.
Maui. They're still helping out some areas in Florida. Gosh, are we even out of the problems that we had years ago with Katrina?
No.
They had to rebuild a lot in New Orleans.
And this is one of those cases.
Wow.
That's why I said when people, there's some questions we just not going to get until we get to heaven and ask God.
Yeah.
Why sometimes you intervene and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Why in this area you intervene, in this area you just won't know until there's some questions we don't know, we don't have the answer to. All we can do, I remember I told you that one pastor said, somebody stood up, you know how people ask Bible study and they ask questions and they asked him, they said, Pastor, I have a question. How do you know when something is happening to you, if that's an enemy, if that's the enemy attacking you, or if that's God testing you, or if something is you, it has nothing to do.
You reap
like what do you
that you sow?
Yeah, how do you know what the difference is? And he said that's a good question. Some things you're not going to know the answer. You may have to, God may reveal it to you later. He said, but the one thing that you have control over is how you respond.
How you respond to it, no matter what is happening,
it's
how it's
you
happening,
respond,
how you react,
whether
it's from the enemy.
And I told you
whether it's from something you saw.
It doesn't matter. Reaping. And I told you I was asking God because I kept seeing stories like this and people dying and all this stuff. And I said, God, I don't, and I even was starting to think with me, when am I going to go? Or am I going to go quick? Or am I going, is it going to be a sickness? I'm going to be in pain? Or am I, you don't know. So you be asking God, how come I don't know? Let me know something. Give me something. And God said, you don't have control over when you die or how you die. I have control over that. I know that day and that time. He said, but what you do have control over is how you live. He said, that's what you have control over, Kim. How you live.
And be reminded.
How you treat people, how you act, how you love, how you do. All of that is you. He doesn't force you to do anything. That's all on you.
And be reminded, too, as believers, that we're living to live again.
That's it.
Some people feel like you're dead, you're gone.
That's it.
I don't. I believe I live. Our spirits live on.
So it's just sad hearing this. They said people was on the phone in the hospitals yelling, help, help.
Yes.
While the water was coming in, hospitals on the phone saying we need help.
Because you told me this story.
The man said it was like a horror movie.
You said we were going to talk about this story. My mom had given us the update because remember my mom is the
Rona Barrett of our show.
She's the reporter that go gets the news. Hey, did you hear about such and such?
Right.
And I said, in Morocco? She said, no, this is another country.
Libya.
I said, I'm trying to still breathe in Morocco.
Over 6,000.
And I'm like, oh God, what's going on in this world?
That's not even how many that's homeless. They said thousands and thousands don't have a place, but 6,000 so far is dead.
Remember the tsunami that happened in, was it Japan? Over one of the Asian countries?
Oh, yeah.
That tsunami just, oh my God.
Yep.
Similar to this.
Yep.
Water is, I thought about the earth, wind, and fire. The elements.
Yep.
Not just the group, but the elements. Lately, it has been those elements.
Right.
Earth,
wind,
and fire. Water.
Yep.
Wow.
So I know.
That's probably why he named that group that. That's powerful. Those elements are powerful.
Why didn't it say water? Or whatever.
I don't know. They couldn't squeeze water in there. Yeah, Maurice, why you didn't put water in the earth, wind, and fire?
I guess it's not an element, I guess. Okay. Whatever. All right.